You are listening to The Growth Signal. My name is Alyssa Nolte,
And I'm Sawsan Hamawandy.
and we're going to get right into it. What is your hot take?
I've got a controversial one for you. I think people need to actually sort out their processes before they focus on the cool stuff. And too many people are getting way caught up with AI before they're even ready for it.
Oh, you are preaching to the choir on this one because, or maybe the opposite of the choir, whatever the opposite is. I am very much one of those people that process is my nemesis. I really just love to dig into the fun stuff, and I'm much more of an experimenter. I actually had my eighth grade chemistry teacher told me that I was great at chemistry because I wasn't even afraid to do things the right way. I just did what I thought made sense. And then I would, fail and then try again, and everyone else is still on step 1 because 'cause they're so worried about doing it right, and I'm like, "I think that you just told me I'm, being super reckless in this chemistry lab here." But, so let's get into it. Let's talk about process. Let's talk about, how we're all kind of experimenting with, our chemistry, sets rather than going in and doing this the right way.
No, don't get me wrong. I love experimentation, perhaps more than most people. But the reason why I say this is a lot of people are getting very, very overexcited about AI and what they think it will achieve. And these are the same people that perhaps haven't actually reviewed their sales funnel. And I come from a B2B tech background. So I'm constantly making sure that the leads that our marketing team brings in is coming to our sales team. But when I'm like speaking to different organizations and I'm speaking to my peers, I go through different demo processes and I'm like, you're not making this easy for me. And I know a lot of companies are now focusing on AI, and it's like, it's great for you to focus on that. But actually, the biggest impact you could have right now on your process is making sure that it's as easy as possible for leads, not just to find you, but then to enter that experience and that journey with you. You can still do it in a fun way, but just make sure you cover the basics first. And I remember I was having a debate with a CMO about it recently. And I just said, look, if I were you guys, I'd do da 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 da. And she said, but that's not even revolutionary. I was like, I know. And you guys aren't even doing that. If you're not even doing the basics, why are you thinking about what the next steps beyond that will be? Because it doesn't matter how much cool stuff you do, if you're not doing the basics, you're always gonna have a leaky bucket and your pipeline's not gonna be solid.
Yeah, it's almost like, and I made a note. I have this little paper that I take all the mic drop moments that, and I think you made a huge point that a lot of people are ignoring. If people can't follow your process, AI sure as hell cannot follow your process. And I think that's the thing that we're missing. We're putting too much emphasis on that word intelligence and not recognizing that there's an artificial in front of it because there's a lot of process. And I work on the sales side, and I already said, I'm not a process person. But I can appreciate the things that process does for me, and I can appreciate a good process, but I can tell you right now, if the process is too complex, if there's too many steps, if it requires me to press a button or to remember to press a button in order to move forward, I am not going to do it. And I think a lot of our process that we've created around go to market and B2B and the MarTech to sales handoff is very convoluted and human centric, and that's just not going to translate to an AI environment.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I recently wrote a blog about 2 sales processes I did as a potential buyer. So I was looking for some processes. Well, actually, I wasn't even looking. I got ads and I was like, "You know what? I'll check it out. Let's see what this is about." One of the tools was sending me it sent me 5 emails in the space of 3 days, and one of them was homework. And then the other 2 were 3 reasons why you should cancel this meeting. I'm like, I get you're trying to qualify because you obviously want to be respectful for the salesperson's time, but I'm a genuine buyer that is open to your solution. And I've just received 5 emails in 3 days where you're trying to convince me to cancel the meeting that you just paid to have an ad for me to go to. And then you're going to give me homework right before. That's not how you position it in a way. But then I thought this wasn't a one off because then in the same week I did another demo process, and maybe I'm just getting too lazy now, but when I fill out a form, I want to be directed to a calendar. I want to know this is locked in. I don't want to go back and forth with sales on emails trying to find a time. I can do that. No, you can't do that. But can you do this? Well, I can do that, and I can't do. It's too much hassle, you know. And there are places where, AI is great, but if it's really, really hard for the prospect to even reach your sales team, they're going to be talking to other people in that time. And that's where you're going to lose out.
Yeah. I've done some research and we've been working with customer experience research for a while. And one of the things that we are finding that is really different between like today's buyer and the buyers of, a few years ago is that the form fill was always a high intent. It's higher than it even used to be, right? So it used to be you would go to the website, you would say, okay, this generally looks like something I'm interested in. I will fill out this form and maybe I'll get some more information. I can talk to a sales guy and kind of really dig into it and see if it fits my expectations. Buyers these days, by the time they get to the point where you even know that they exist, where they've filled out a form or created some kind of paper trail for you to follow, they are a high intent lead at that point. They're 80% of the way to
Yeah.
their decision, and they just need your help to confirm their preconceived notions of your brand and what you can do for them, and they're probably a done deal. So everything you're talking about actually kind of makes me nervous that we are using 2016 qualification standards
Yeah.
where we're trying to really only talk to the highly qualified leads. And in reality, in 2026, we are the people who are letting you know they exist. I've already kind of decided that you're probably a good fit.
I agree. And even when I think about like my own buying processes, how I used to buy has changed a lot. I'm part of WhatsApp groups, I'm part of Slack communities,
Yeah.
and these are where we have the most open and raw conversations with peers. Now, I think if I was a marketer trying to sell to this group of people that I'm like communicating with, I would never have visibility of that because I'm not part of
Right.
that private Slack channel. I'm not part of that private WhatsApp.
And you never will be.
No, 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 exactly. And so what you can do is make sure people have good experiences with you so that they influence their peers. But you're sitting there, doing webinars and social posts and tracking who's been on your website, and they're all good metrics, but they're not the ones that are really influencing people. The ones that
Yeah.
are influencing people is the human side and how easy it is to work with you, because that also plays a part in the buying process as well.
It's almost like website metrics and all of those things that we've spent all these years tracking and building are now lagging indicators instead of leading indicators. Because, if they're engaging with your ad, if they're, they might be further down the funnel than you think that they are than what they used to be.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why it is so important to make that process as easy as possible. I had a sales process recently where I was trying to get a demo of a tool for my own tech stack. And when I filled out the form, I received an email from a BDR the next day saying, "Hey, can I ask you some more questions?" Three of those um, four questions he could have Googled it. He could have had some sort of enrichment tool. He could have, he literally could have Googled it.
Yeah.
So, it's a really good use of my time. Like, he's
But
like,
like that's a great use of AI. Like you could have just dropped in the information and said, go
"Yeah."
out into the vast corners of the internet and can I answer these questions without bugging my customer?
It was like, "Where is your company located? Like, where's the HQ?" I mean, you can Google that. What industry do you guys serve in? I mean, just go check out our website, please. Like, that's sloppy use of AI, and that, I mean, that's even just sloppy process. So this is where I have that urge to just want to shake people and say, look, it's all well and good to like want to do cool stuff, fun stuff, qualify. That's very important. But always make sure that the person on the other side, the prospect experience, is as streamlined as it could be.
Yeah, well, especially in today's day and age, there is so many alternatives out there. Like, if I'm not vibing with you, if I'm not liking what you have to offer, odds are good 15 more competitors will pop up the next day that I can go look at instead.
Yeah. And actually, even if maybe you're good, but you're slow to respond, in that time I'll be talking to other people. I will. It's just like dating, there might be one person that's on paper looks great, but if they're slow in that meantime, you still got research to do. You're
Right.
gonna be out there.
And I mean, I love your dating analogy because how many times do we settle for second best if our soulmate is still out there, but we're just like, I'm done waiting. I'm ready to be done with all of this whole dating thing. So yeah, he's not perfect, but I'm gonna go ahead and go forward. Right? People do that all the time. And it is no different with our businesses that we work with. I am very much like a quick, snappy decision maker. So for me, like if I have already reached out to you, I want to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the process of buying a car right now, right? So not quite software, but I'm going through this process and I looked at this car and then they were like, okay, so, what'd you think of it? I'm like, I like it. Let me look at these things, blah, blah, blah. I went through my whole checklist. I had already done all the research on the car. So I
Yeah.
already knew everything about it. I looked at the history of it, all of these things. And they're like, okay, so do you think you could see yourself in this car? And I was like,
I've already made a picture with AI. You hit
I
it.
know, right? Like I've already planned all the accessories I'm going to buy for it. I already told my kids we're getting this car. But anyway, and they're like, okay. And so then I'm like, yeah, but there's like a scratch here. And like, so I asked for a few little things and they're like, and if we can make it right, can you buy this car? And I'm like,
I've already
what? I don't know what you're asking me.
here's the
I'm
money.
pre-approved for the loan. I came in specifically to look at this car. I didn't look at anything else. What are we doing? But I think that keeps happening is that we're trying to like guide the customer and bring them along this journey. And we're not maybe picking up on the human signals of, I'm ready to buy, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go. I'm done with this conversation. I've already moved on to the next. Now, not to say there aren't people who really need that guidance, but we have to find ways. And I think AI can probably help us with this to move the conversation along and skip out those mundane parts that you mentioned, like the things that they could Google. That's one extra friction point that doesn't have to be there.
Yeah. I agree. And you know what? I'm glad you used the word friction because that's a term that I use a lot. Like just remove the hassle, remove the friction and put yourself in their shoes. Like what would make it easy and what would make it pleasant? And
Yeah.
they're the things that I think more people need to focus on. But they often get overlooked because they're seen as the boring things. But I think these are the things that make all the difference.
And I think that there are things that we need to commit to, like almost like design principles when it comes to our process. One of the things that we talk about at our company is it is more important to be clear than to be clever. And I
Mm,
think a lot of times we're so focused on what's the cleverest way that we can be, how clever and smart and snazzy can we be?
yeah.
And in reality, good process is clear. It
Mm,
can be clever, but it has to be clear first. It has to clear that gate first. And I think AI is in a phase of its development in which it's going to need to be clear. There is not going to be this complex, unique, special process to you because AI is good, but it is not this amazing magical being that we have all kind of been sold or have sold to ourselves, if we're being honest. It really is like someone described it to me as a first year intern. It's smart. It's going to be great, but right now it is no different than the intern. And are we really going to let the intern handle all of our sales and be the first person our most important customers ever meet?
Yeah, do you know, I think the clarity part is so key because even with, like, things like content, creating content, for it to rank well on LLMs, they need to understand what this page is about and what it is that you do. They like clear, concise answers. And so I'm a big fan of making sure things are clear. I worked for a company once where they were so focused on sounding cool that if you actually and if a robot was reading the page, it's not actually clear at all, even that they're in tech, because it was just so cool and trendy and like WhatsApp style written as if, you're talking to your friend, which is a great tone to have, but a SEO nightmare. But one of the things that I've started thinking about lately when it even comes to how LLMs even like rank your pages and your content, one of the things I find really interesting is with SEO, people used to like want to rank for a term or a
Right.
question or a keyword, whereas now people are writing longer and longer prompts, and no two prompts are the same. So again, even just having that clarity so that these LLMs know this is the question you're answering, that's going to get you more likely to be ranked for that term. But it comes back to having clear, focused points.
And I think too, we're gonna keep running into this, right? And I totally know what you mean. Kind of laughed when you said like, "Oh, we're the cool, we're the trendy." Babe, you sound like accounting software. Like you can only be as cool and as trendy as you like there's a max, right? There's an upper limit on how cool and trendy you can be or like just lean into who you are. Be who you are. It's okay. But it also your point is well taken, is that there's not a ton of the ability to understand nuance in
Yeah.
these AI LLMs, maybe someday. But for now, they are an aggregation of everything that's ever been said on the internet, and there is not it's really hard to interpret nuance on the internet. This is the reason emojis were invented so that we could all add little smiley faces to our passive aggressive comments and messages that we send to each other. Like, okay, I promise I'm trying to be nice here, right? This is how I infer tone. We don't have that yet for our LLMs. You can't necessarily take something um, that is designed to convey tone. They don't have that figured out yet. The
Yeah.
other thing that I think we're also seeing is that LLMs do want to please, right? They want to deliver on something. They are, at the end of the day, a subscription model. And so they want you to enjoy working with their LLM. And
Mhm.
so therefore you end up with an AI that's designed to please you even at the cost of the success of whatever process you're trying to build. Even if your process is absolute crap, it won't tell you that.
Yeah.
So let's get practical for a second because I think we are both in wild agreement. How do we start to design process that will create a great experience for the customer, that will drive forward our AI revolution without sacrificing what we really did best, which was serve our customers in a way that they deserved to be served?
Do you know what? I always say the best thing to do if you're not starting from scratch, if you're looking at what you've got, take yourself out the equation, take a step back, and follow your own lead process and see what they experience. Then ask yourself, was that enjoyable or was that easy? If it was enjoyable and easy, then you're on to a winner. And if you haven't, then congratulations, you've just identified a new opportunity for yourself and where to fix. But I think it's just about going through the process yourself and seeing what impression would I have got if this wasn't my company. You have to take emotion out of it and say, and be very, very objective. No one wants to fill out a form with 50 fields or 10 fields. I mean,
Yeah.
even I sometimes I look, 5 fields, I'm like, I mean, this is a bit much. Like, do you need all this information?
Well, and
And
be careful with what information you're asking for, right?
exactly.
Like if I'm filling out a form, I'll give you my email, but I'm probably not giving you my phone number, right?
Yeah,
And so if you make your phone number required, I'm probably not filling it out, right? Or if you're making revenue required, like think about not only the number of fields, but the content of those fields. And would you be willing to give that information to a stranger standing on a street corner?
yeah.
Probably not.
Well, in GDPR, interestingly, you say that you can only capture the information you actually need. And I was signing up for a webinar, and the webinar looked so good, but they were asking me for my home address, and it was compulsory. And I was like,
No.
"What
Mm-mm.
is it?" And I
Red
didn't
flag.
look it up, and I was like,
Unless you're sending me the fanciest swag box for
"Wait,
free
no,
and nothing else.
no, they did actually, they were, but I didn't want the swag." Like,
Right, right, right. Let me bypass it and say, "No, thank you."
but they were like, "No, no, it's compulsory, and you couldn't move forward unless you put your home address." And I'm like, as someone who works in cybersecurity for over 10 years, I'm not giving you that. So
That's a hard no for me.
yeah,
No.
I sat it out. But you have to consider like what pieces you need and how the other person is gonna like. Thank you so much for the swag. I don't need it.
No, I'm good. Thanks. But also, like, I don't need any more stuff in my house, and I don't need a random logo of a company I don't care about yet.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if I'd worked with you for a couple of years and I knew you and I liked you, totally different conversation.
But I still wouldn't give my address out.
Yeah.
I'd probably give, like, my work office address, but
Yeah,
even then I was like, I'd have to go dig it out, copy and paste it. It's
right.
not worth it for a webinar.
And now you're adding a friction and lost a potentially great lead for
Yeah,
and webinar attendee,
yeah,
right? And I think we really have to this is an important point that everybody is skipping because it's not sexy and
yeah,
it's not fun and the board doesn't get excited about, really clean, smart process. But at the end of the day, every initiative that you ever do, whether it's AI, growth, acquisition, you name it,
yeah.
if you don't have that unsexy work done, then it will fail. Maybe
Yeah.
not immediately, but eventually it will.
I agree. So just coming back to the actionable points, other than like taking yourself out the equation, I would say that's definitely the first thing you should be doing. Think about the areas where you can strip that friction. Maybe it's an enrichment tool. So instead of asking someone what is the company you work for and the email and your website, which website is common, oh, and how many employees you have and what industry, once you've got their work email, you've already got their website. You can then figure out what their company name is because you've got their website too.
Right.
You can then use that to work out how many employees in the industry. So just think about where the areas where AI can support you with removing that friction. So then that there's more conversions, there's going to be more leads coming through.
Yeah. And I think we have to start thinking about it as an exchange of value,
Yeah.
right? So, like, imagine if you had to pay $100 to that customer for every piece of information they gave you. Would you be willing to pay them $100 for their physical mailing address? Would you be willing to pay them $100 for their email address? Like, once you start to think about these things as real costs to your business, yes, okay, you're not really paying for this information. But every time you have someone fill out something that turns them away, that makes them say, hey, not worth it. This value exchange isn't equal. You are losing the opportunity to grow your business and create an opportunity for your business.
Yeah.
So we have to start thinking about it as a currency exchange because my data is currency. My information is important enough to me to be protected in the same way that I would protect my wallet in the subway system of New York City.
Do you know what? I completely agree with that. And one thing that I've done, which actually a lot of companies haven't, is I've actually started stripping my webinar forms for people that are already in my database. If they're
Mm,
already in my database, I already know who they are. I'm not going to ask them for their name and this and this. I'm not even going to ask them for their email again because I already know their email, hence how I emailed them with the invite. So with my webinar invites, for example, I just say, add it to your calendar and I just redirect them straight to the confirmation page. And a lot of people might say that's wild. And I'm like, but why? What new information would I even be getting? What I want is their engagement and I want to
yeah.
make it easy for them to join because information's unlimited, it's free. And with AI, people don't even need to join webinars anymore. So, how can I appeal to someone and make them want to fill out a form and want to fill out watch a webinar? I'd rather just get them on the webinar and make it as easy as possible. And I found that that has been something that has boosted registrations significantly.
There's also a second layer to that, and that's database cleanliness because you send out and make them fill it out again. Okay, they typo their email. Now
Yeah.
you have a dead email in your database, whereas like you already have the correct email. So why risk getting a dead one? Or they, put in a different email. So now you have two email addresses, both are valid, but it's the same lead. And it does take a lot to clean up a contact database. So if you're skipping that step, one, you're getting a better customer experience. Two, you're actually getting more people to show up to your ultimate goal, which is the webinar and giving engagement. And three, you're not risking the data quality of this database that you've worked hard to build.
Yeah. It's win-win, and I think that's what you've gotta take into consideration. I loved your phrase earlier when you said, "Look, it's not always sexy, but hey, it's gonna pay off, and, like, you do need to consider some of these things." And yes, some of it might not be revolutionary, but it is about just challenge a way we think about how things are naturally done. You think, "Well, if I'm doing a webinar, I need to have a webinar form, and then I need to send people here and here." And then sometimes just ask yourself, "Do I actually need that though?
Yeah.
Do I?"
Right. And or is it just something that I feel like I have to ask just because
Yeah.
we always have, or because I maybe want it and it would be beneficial to me, but is there another way to get it? Or do I really need it at all?
Yeah.
Considering all of the people that you know or aspire to know, who else is out there? Who else do we need to be paying attention to?
Do you know what? I've been following the same few people for like quite a while. I will share some names. So one of my favorites, and he does the best webinars because they're always so tangible. He has the best content. I always follow someone called Neil Patel. I think I've been following him
Yep.
for a good over 10 years now. I'm like a big fan. But I just love that when you listen to him, you're gonna take something away and you're gonna have new ideas to try out. And I like people like that. And then there's another one that's for the social side of things, particularly LinkedIn. It's a lady called Laura Acosta, and she's a very, very cool individual who talks a lot about trial and error with LinkedIn and building personal brands. And again, she's very open, big oversharer, and very specific. So I appreciate her. And someone new on my radar is a man called Sam Dunning, and he works for a company called Breaking B2B, and they do a lot of research, which actually they share very openly about the clients that they're working with, and they usually work with controversial clients, but they're building SEO strategies. and they literally break out their whole playbook. Like they offer it to you for free. And so I think people like that for me are very inspirational because I know I can watch their content. It's going to inspire ideas from me, and then I'll go away and take it and see how it works for myself. Again, not everything will work, but you need to be like constantly challenging yourself and seeing what else could I be doing? Not necessarily what more, but could I be doing things in a different way or a better way that then serves myself or my audience? So they're the people that I think for me I'm most inspired by.
And if someone is looking for you, they love this conversation, they wanna learn more, they wanna follow along, they wanna see some controversial hot takes on LinkedIn, where can we find you online?
Uh, so I would say follow me on LinkedIn. My name is Sawsan Hamawandy, and I'm also an oversharer. I'm always talking about things that I'm learning, I'm testing, I'm failing at. And not everything works, but you've got to be open to it. And sometimes along the way, I'll share unpopular opinions as well. But it's all about challenging ourselves, and I'm open to a debate. So if you ever read something of mine you don't agree with, that's fine. But just let me know.
And if you're looking for me, you can also find me on LinkedIn, search Alyssa Nolte, and if you find the notorious plant killer, you know you have found the right Alyssa Nolte. I also write on Substack under the publication Alyssa Likes to Talk. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I loved this conversation. I think it's really all of the points that you brought up are really important. How are we creating great customer experiences? How are we keeping the customer at the heart of this conversation while we still do these sexy, fun, exciting things like implementing AI? And what does it take to make sure that that is actually successful and not just another failed initiative we pretend never happened? So, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. There are millions of podcasts out there, and something like 70,000 new episodes are released every single day. It's not lost on me how lucky I am to have such an incredible community who show up and support this show. To be a guest or nominate someone who should join me on the pod, head to alyssanolte.com. And if you're looking for ad-free episodes, you can join me on Substack. I post all new episodes of my podcasts and share appearances on other people's shows, plus bonus content and updates on what I'm working on. Search Alyssa Likes to Talk or tap the link in the show notes.